ketchup, mac and cheese. I mean, these are more than just foods, right? They're practically part of the American fabric. But the company behind them, Kraft Heinz, is actually the center of one of the biggest, most shocking business blunders of the last decade. It's a crazy story of how two absolute legends got mashed together, only to watch $58 billion of value just disappear. So let's get into how it all went so wrong.
Okay, so it all came to a head on this one single disastrous day in February 2019. The company comes out and announces it has to write down the value of its brands by this much, $15.4 billion. That's billion with the B. I mean, it was a total financial earthquake that sent shockwaves through Wall Street.
And that really is the mystery at the heart of this whole thing. How could brands this iconic, we're talking Kraft, Oscar Mayer, just kind of evaporate in value like that? To really get the answer, we have to rewind the clock way back to the beginning, long before these two were ever one company.
Yeah, this is really a tale of two completely different founders. Each one had a totally unique vision that, honestly, ended up defining the American kitchen as we know it.
This is where it gets really fascinating. On one side, you've got Henry Heinz, who started way back in 1869. Now, back then, food safety was questionable, to say the least. So his big idea was just honesty. He put his horseradish in clear glass jars so you could actually see for yourself that it was legit. Then, on the other side, you've got James L. Kraft, and he was all about innovation. His 1916 patent for processed cheese that didn't need to be refrigerated, that was a complete game changer, a huge technological leap that changed everything.
And you can really see their different mindsets right here. Get this, Heinz was so confident in his quality that he actually lobbied for government regulation, the Pure Food and Drug Act, because he knew it would crush his shady competitors. What a power move. And Kraft? He was the classic scrappy entrepreneur. The guy started what would become a massive cheese empire with just $65 and a horse named Patty. You can't make this up. Just two totally different ways to build an iconic American brand.
So for about a century, these two companies were running on parallel tracks. But then, in 2015, those tracks collided. The investment giants 3G Capital and, Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway decided to merge them. And they brought a very, very specific and very powerful way of doing business with them. And at the absolute heart of their strategy was this thing called zero-based budgeting. So instead of, just tweaking last year's budget, ZBB makes every department justify every single dollar it wants to spend every single year. We're talking everything from paper clips to Super Bowl ads. In theory, it sounds like the ultimate way to cut out waste. But in practice, well, the results were something else entirely.
And the impact was immediate. I mean, look at this. While the rest of the food industry was spending around 8% of its revenue on marketing, to stay fresh in your mind, Kraft Heinz, with its ZBB playbook, just slashed its spending to less than half of that. They weren't running a company to build brands anymore. They were running a financial machine.
And this, right here, is where the story takes a dark turn. That relentless, almost obsessive focus on cutting costs, it came with a hidden price tag, one that turned out to be absolutely devastating.
Look at just how fast this all unraveled. The merger in 2015 is a huge celebration. But by 2017, growth is already stalling out, so they try this massive hostile takeover of Unilever, which just fails spectacularly. And then, only 2 years after that, bam, the day of reckoning, that massive write-down. That was basically an admission that the brands were broken.
And maybe the final verdict, the nail in the coffin, came from Warren Buffett himself, one of the guys who put the deal together, calling the merger an expensive mistake. I mean, that's a rare and pretty shocking admission from a legend like him. It just confirmed what everyone was thinking. The strategy was a total failure.
So, once you've hit rock bottom, what do you do? How do you even begin to recover? Well, for Kraft Heinz, the last few years have been a scramble to find a new identity, a new strategy, really a whole new way forward.
One of the most telling signs of change came just recently. The company was literally on the verge of splitting itself in two, which is basically admitting that it's too big and complicated to manage. But the new CEO, Carlos Abrams-Rivera, just slammed on the brakes. He canceled the split, and that move signaled a complete 180 on their strategy.
So instead of breaking up, they're doubling down. They've rolled out this $600 million plan that is a direct reversal of that old ZBB playbook. They're boosting marketing, pumping money into R&D, and reinvesting in all the things that they'd been starving for years. It's basically an attempt to heal a whole bunch of self-inflicted wounds.
But look, making a comeback is never that easy. The world has changed. Cheaper store brands are everywhere, and honestly, they're pretty good now. You have new weight loss drugs that are totally changing how people eat. And consumers are, more than ever, demanding healthier options. Kraft Heinz isn't just fighting its own past mistakes. It's fighting some very real, very powerful forces in today's market.
And all of this leaves us with the big, unanswered question. It really is the core of the Kraft Heinz story today. Can this new investment actually bring these legendary brands back to what they once were? Or was the damage from chasing efficiency just too deep to ever fully repair? That's a multi-billion-dollar question that's going to be answered, one way or another, in the supermarket aisle over the next few years.